Hello! It's February 11th, 2021, and I have decided to make a video about the White Sox. I've been really enjoying the book reviews I've been doing. It's giving me incentive to read and to think about more of what I'm reading. And I like doing these, so I've decided I'm going to try and push myself to make at least one White Sox video per week, just to give myself a goal. I'm going to call it White Sox Chatter, because that's what I feel like doing. I want to work on speaking still. I want to work on expressing my thoughts still, and why the hell not do it with my Chicago White Sox? So, without further ado, this is going to be my first one. I'm just going to talk about my thoughts on the White Sox off-season. I'm not super pleased, and I'm not super pleased about fans telling me I cannot be upset. And I wanted to talk about it. So the White Sox, their payroll has gone up maybe $5 million so far from last year. They had so many contracts fall off that everybody that they've added so far has only got their payroll pretty much right in line with where it was last year. I think it's going to be a little bit more with some of the pay raises of the guys, maybe around 130, but they're not spending. So everybody patting them on the back for spending is being a doo-doo head that I disagree with, because they're not. They haven't spent new money. Now, I understand that the COVID year, 2020, they could have just not spent any of this money and had a lower payroll with the pandemic excuse, the built-in pandemic excuse. But you're a billion-dollar franchise. You tanked your payroll for 3 years telling fans that you were going to cough it up, pay when it mattered, when it was time to. This was the year to do it. Your moves signified that this was the year to do it, and you didn't do it. So what I find interesting is all the moves they set up are so very White Sox. They traded for Lance Lynn. A decent trade on its surface. They gave up Dane Dunning, who was a very good prospect, had 5 years of control left in him, and showed good signs last year. So he was a kind of a fan favorite, and you traded him away for Lance Lynn, who was a Cy Young contender the past 2 years. On its face, I'm cool with it. But what you're doing when you trade away 5 years of a good pitching prospect in Dane Dunning for 1 year of Lance Lynn is you're telling all the fans that you think that you're going to win this year. It's not an opinion anymore. The organization wants to win this year. They think they can win this year. This move signifies that, plain and simple. To argue otherwise it's incorrect, because why would you trade away 5 years of a good young pitcher for 1 year of a mid-30s pitcher? Okay, so they want to win. Furthermore, it's an $8 million contract. The reason you had to give up Dane Dunning, a good player, a good prospect, for Lance Lynn, who is only on 1 year, is that it's an $8 million deal. So you're saving money. Theoretically, you should be able to spend that money that you saved on Lynn elsewhere. And they didn't. So that's kind of one of the problems with Lance Lynn as a trade, is you're not taking advantage. I like that it makes them better this year, but they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. If they weren't going to do enough, they shouldn't have traded away Dane Dunning. That's my opinion. It could be wrong. I'm not saying it couldn't be. I love Lance Lynn. I think he could be really good. But they're going to have to win the division and win a playoff round. They're going to have to advance in the playoffs for that to be maybe a success. After Lance Lynn, they signed Adam Eaton. Oh no, Adam Eaton. Everybody freaked out. I didn't. I'm okay with it if you're going to spend elsewhere. If they sign is like a 1 year, $7 million deal, I think. You want to sign Adam Eaton to 1 year, $7 million and tell me it's a stopgap, we think he could be good, and we can spend the money elsewhere, I'm okay with it. Because it's George Springer was one, and then it was a slew of guys in the Adam Eaton tier. There really wasn't anybody else in between that you could play in right field. I love Michael Brantley. You can't play him every day in right field, though. So go ahead and sign Adam Eaton to a 1 year deal with a club option. He is a good balance to what the White Sox need. Theoretically, if he has a good year and stays healthy, which is a big if, he will get on base a lot. He'll provide a different look from the rest of the lineup. I love the idea of having Eaton, Madrigal, Anderson at the bottom for turnover. That sounds fun to me. I'm cool with it. But you got to spend the money. And that brings us to Hendricks, Rodon, and nobody else. It's not enough. The White Sox spent at the top of the market by getting a top of the market closer. Typical White Sox. They get a top market guy at a position where the market is lower than any other position. The best closer in baseball will make less than the best player position in baseball at any other position. Catcher, starting pitcher, first baseman, outfielder, second baseman. The best second baseman in the league is going to get more than the best closer in the league. Of course, the White Sox signed Hendricks. Okay, I like it. It's fine. Colome got 1 year, $6 million. Seems pretty ridiculous to me. But if that's what you want to do with Hendricks, fine. I think he'll be good. He makes the team better. Cool. But you can't go out and sign Rodon and say you're done, which is what they've done. It's not enough. Lynn, Eaton, Hendricks. You have not spent top market dollars. You traded away a player to get a cheap player. You signed another cheap 1 year solution player. Hendricks, top of the market, only $11 million this year, only $50 million guaranteed. It's not team breaking. You got to go out and do more. You don't even have to get Springer. Michael Brantley was right there. You have a gaping hole at DH. Andrew Vaughn. I love Andrew Vaughn. I think he can be great. He's never played a game above single A. If you're trying to win this year in 2021, which you clearly are because you acquired Lance Lynn, you gotta do better than what you just did. You gotta do better than Andrew Vaughn at DH, Adam Engel, and Leury Garcia as your primary backups, with only Danny Mendick behind. You have no outfield depth. Why am I saying all that? Michael Brantley was there. Kyle Schwarber was there. Jock Peterson was there. There were other, Eddie Rosario was there. There were a lot of other guys that you could have brought in that would have been your primary DH and corner outfield depth. None of those guys were you thrilled with starting in right field every day. That's why you acquired Adam Eaton. You still have your DH spot. You could easily sign one of those guys, slot him in for DH, and slot him in for whenever Eloy or Eaton are injured, which is going to happen. You're going to have at least 1 month total of baseball where one of those two guys is on the DL. Probably more than a month when you combine the two. It's probably more like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and if you're unlucky, more than that. There was going to be playing time for Andrew Vaughn, even if you signed another outfielder. You're going to platoon Eaton and Engel. You have Eloy in left. You have nobody at DH. The depth, the bench space, it was all there to go sign somebody else, and they didn't. It's only Adam Eaton, and only Adam Eaton is not enough, and it makes everybody being pissed about it justified. It was cool if you were going to sign somebody else who could platoon around, back up, fill in as needed. Maybe Robert takes a day off, Eaton plays center, someone else plays right field. You can give Eloy some rest. Anybody gets injured, which both of them are very injured. Eaton and Eloy are both very injury prone. Yeah, you would have had a guy. and they didn't do it. They didn't sign anybody else. This is it. Your outfield depth is Adam Engel, Lori Garcia. That's it. That's not bad depth, but one, Lori Garcia is very injury prone again as well. And two, Adam Engel, we only want him starting against lefties. We want, basically, Engel and Eaton are one guy. In my opinion, if you just make them one guy with depth, it's good. It's not bad depth. It's just not enough. You could have done more depth-wise. And it's frustrating to me. And two things. One, you needed to spend more. That's more of an ownership level mistake. Two, if this was your budget, I'm bringing back Colome and I'm signing somebody like Michael Brantley. I'm signing somebody else. I'm bringing back Colome, I'm bringing in Eddie Rosario, and I'm bringing in an upgraded starting pitcher that's better than Rodon, which I've not even touched on yet. But it's mostly the same complaints. So I have a little bit of issues with how they use their budget, and I have a lot of issues with what their budget is. That's where I'm at. Your budget needs to be higher. It's ridiculous. Just squeeze another $15 million. You could sign one of those outfielders. You could sign a better pitcher than Rodon. And at least that is the bare minimum in a year that you have said you want to win because you traded for Lynn. If you're going to trade for Lynn, just, you don't even have to sign Springer. Just build yourself a complete roster. That's it. It's not that hard. Just a little bit more, man. Oh my gosh. It's so frustrating that the budget wasn't there. And then if this was the budget, they could have signed more. I would have spent it differently. I'm not mad at Han for how he spent it. I just think there were better ways to go than putting it all on a closer when your bullpen was the strength of your team. And I feel that I can say that while also acknowledging that it could work out. I'm not saying it couldn't. They are going to have the best bullpen in the league probably. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying Hendricks is bad. I think it could be good. It could work out. The team's not bad. I just think it could be better. And it's frustrating to me because I love this team. It's not because I'm a hater. It's because I love the White Sox. I'm obsessed and I just want them to be better. That was my White Sox chatter.